Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I am Wawan, your Kawan, and today we're going to be talking about death. I know, death is considered to be quite a daunting topic, and a lot of us tend to avoid it because we think it distracts us from living our lives. But in fact, I think that it does the complete opposite, because I feel that death actually is the very thing that gives our lives meaning. But before we get started on today's video, I just want to give a big shout out to those of you guys who wrote to me personally to show your love and support for our last video, which was a short film called The Breakup. It means so much for all of us who work on that project, guys. So guys, do like and subscribe to the channel because it helps us grow, and we do want to keep growing where we can produce more higher quality content in the future. So guys, let's get started on today's topic. One of my favorite characters that explore the theme of death is Batman. In the movie Batman Begins, one of Ra's al Ghul's earliest lesson to Bruce Wayne was actually about how he would face death while training with the League of Shadows. To quote Ra's, "Death does not wait for you to be ready. Death is not considerate or fair. And make no mistake, here you will face death." After saying this to Bruce, Ra's started beating him to a pulp. Bruce was so tired from the hike itself he could barely stand at this point. But then he was forced to respond to all the beating that Ra's was giving him until he just couldn't take anymore or do anything more after that. This scene is actually a really good analogy for most of us in life. While a lot of us are actually afraid to explore or talk about the idea of death, make no mistake, death is coming to all of us. Hopefully, in uncovering how Batman deals with his own mortality, we'll be able to figure out a few things for ourselves. These are some of the lessons I've learned from Batman when it comes to death. Number 1, accepting death gives us purpose and direction. One very prominent thing we see is that once Bruce Wayne accepted his own mortality, it gave his life purpose and direction. Before meeting the League of Shadows, he was wandering around the world aimlessly with a vague idea of what it means to fight injustice. Once he realized that he was gonna die someday, he knew that he had to come up with a real plan to fight the injustice and corruption within Gotham. This was how the idea of Batman was incepted in his mind. Batman was his symbol to fight the criminal underworld in Gotham and to strike fear in the hearts of those who prey on the innocent. All of us could use a kind of purpose and direction in our lives, to have some sort of plan would be useful. But concocting a plan doesn't really mean that we spend all of our time on it, that it takes us away from the present moment. In fact, if anything, it should bring us closer to where we are right now. Instead of just being on autopilot with our family, friends, and work, understanding that we're gonna die someday make us realize and appreciate every single moment that we're in. Number 2, courage. Accepting death gave Batman this courage to do the craziest things that most of us wouldn't even consider, like jumping off a rooftop with a Batmobile or jumping off, like a tall ass building in Hong Kong with a mob boss. Now, I don't expect myself or any of you guys to be doing any of these crazy stunts, because most of us are not really planning to fight crimes or be vigilantes. But accepting death gives us a bit of faith to take a leap forward. A lot of times we find ourselves too afraid to actually pursue the things that we're passionate about, whether it's starting a business or writing a book or learning a new skill set. The list goes on and on. But if we keep in mind that we're all going to die someday, it should give us the motivation to live our life with courage. Even if it's just a moment of pure intense courage, for example, like applying for that dream job or saying hello to that person that we've been crushing on, could really go a long way. Number 3, no action ever goes to waste. Once we all know that we're all going to die, we understand that no action, no matter how small or insignificant it may seem, would ever go to waste. One of the most compelling scenes in The Dark Knight Rises was when Commissioner Gordon asked Batman to reveal his identity, to which he replies, "A hero can be anyone, even a man doing something as simple and reassuring as putting a coat around a young boy's shoulders to let him know that the world hadn't ended." This is one of the best moments that the entire trilogy led up to. Even after seeing Batman doing all these crazy stunts in 3 whole movies, perhaps the greatest act in the entire trilogy was still when Gordon showed a little compassion to a young Bruce Wayne who saw nothing but darkness at the time. Gordon was the one who gave Bruce hope that there are still good people out there in the world, which is why he felt that Gotham was still worth saving. So with this in mind, let's start looking at the everyday good deeds that we could keep doing. You'll never know. A small act of kindness could just create superheroes in the world. Number 4, fear is as important as courage. In The Dark Knight Rises, we find Bruce being thrown into prison by Bane, intending for him to lose hope and just eventually die. all of his years training as Batman, he was taught that courage was the thing that gave him strength. But while he was in the pit, he had to unlearn that very lesson. While he was in the prison, he understood that fear could also be a powerful tool if it was used and channeled properly. Fear was the thing that was gonna give him the strength to make the climb. A lot of times I find myself getting caught up in inaction because I would think to myself that I would need to be totally fearless when doing something. And although fear has caused a lot of problems in my life, I still find that even when I do something when I'm scared, it's still a lot better than waiting for the right moment to act. These are just some of the awesome lessons that I've learned from Batman and how he approaches death. Do share with me some of your thoughts of the lessons that I've learned from Batman when it comes to accepting our death. Please like and subscribe to the channel, guys. I'm Wawan your Kawan. Till the next video, see you guys.
A hero can be anyone, even a man doing something as simple and reassuring as putting a coat around a young boy's shoulders to let him know that the world hadn't ended.
You give me permission to die when death comes.